The sleek diplomatic vessel of the Galactic Alliance slides into Earth's orbit, its crystalline hull reflecting sunlight in dazzling patterns. Commander Zax Voller peers through the viewport at the blue planet below, his four eyes widening at the conflicting sensor readings. Primitive ground transportation but orbital defense platforms that could rival our outer colonies. He mutters to his second-in-command. Such fascinating contradictions. Science Officer Pelnera flicks through holographic displays with her elongated fingers. Their digital communications networks are surprisingly robust, yet they still burn fossil fuels. They've mastered nuclear fusion, but haven't attempted lunar colonization beyond research outposts. Recommendations? Zax Voller asks, never taking his eyes off the planet. Standard first contact protocols, Pelnera responds. Though perhaps with enhanced security measures. Their global communications are buzzing with our arrival. Military installations worldwide have raised alert levels. Zax Voller nods thoughtfully. In 17 previous first contacts, no species had responded with such immediate military readiness. Curious indeed. Hours later, when the human delegation boards his ship through the central airlock, Zax Voller immediately notices their careful examination of every corridor and junction, not with wonder or awe, but with tactical assessment. Captain Sarah Chen, head of Earth's United Nations Space Command, presents ceremonial gifts while her eyes catalog every alien weapon emplacement and security checkpoint. The 6 officers accompanying her maintain perfect formation, their formal uniforms unable to disguise their military bearing. We welcome peaceful exchange between our worlds, she says with a genuine smile that doesn't match her military posture. Humanity has long theorized the existence of intelligent life beyond our solar system. Yet you've constructed orbital platforms with significant defensive capabilities, Zax Voller observes, gesturing toward Earth visible through the viewport. Captain Chen's smile doesn't falter. Planetary protection is a responsibility we take seriously. I'm sure the Galactic Alliance understands the need for caution in an unknown universe. The diplomatic meeting proceeds smoothly enough. Exchange of basic scientific knowledge, cultural introductions, preliminary discussions of potential trade. Yet throughout, Zax Voller notes how the humans position themselves with clear sightlines to exits, how their questions probe for information about Alliance military capabilities under the guise of innocent curiosity. When Captain Chen inquires about the Alliance's membership process, Zax Voller explains the standard evaluation period. Most species spend several decades as observational members before full integration. Several decades. Chen exchanges glances with her security chief. That's longer than we anticipated. Later that evening, after the human delegation returns to Earth, Zax Voller encrypts his preliminary report. These humans prepare for war even in times of peace. Their technology appears uneven, advanced in weaponry and communications, surprisingly primitive in transportation and energy production. Their wariness suggests experiences we cannot fathom. Most concerning is their reaction time. From our arrival to their organized diplomatic response occurred in mere hours, indicating pre-established first contact protocols of remarkable sophistication. He pauses, considering his final assessment. Recommendation: proceed with caution. These humans possess an unusual combination of diplomatic courtesy and military readiness that bears careful study. If they join the Alliance, they may require specialized integration protocols. Their defensive mindset could prove either a valuable asset or a concerning liability. With a gesture, he sends the encrypted report, then turns back to the viewport. The blue planet rotates slowly below, deceptively peaceful from orbit, yet hiding mysteries that Zax Voller suddenly feels a pressing need to understand. Captain Chen receives the ornate holographic invitation in her Tokyo headquarters 6 months after first contact. The translucent crystal disk projects a shimmering message when activated, the alien script transforming into English before her eyes. The Galactic Alliance extends its highest honor, participation in the Centennial Fleet Review. All member and observational species will showcase their finest vessels in a display of unity and technological achievement. Chen immediately calls an emergency meeting of the UNSC High Command. 12 admirals gather in the secure conference room, their faces reflecting both opportunity and concern. This is unprecedented, Admiral Kazuo Yamamoto states, studying the invitation specifications. No observational species has ever been invited to the fleet review before. Admiral Alina Rice, the most decorated commander of Earth's orbital defense fleet, leans forward. They're curious about us, our technological capabilities, our military doctrine. This is an intelligence-gathering exercise disguised as a diplomatic event. Then we should decline, suggests Admiral Hassan. Absolutely not, Rice counters. This is our chance to establish humanity's position in the galactic community. The question is, which vessel do we send? The debate rages for hours. Most admirals support sending the newly commissioned science vessel Galileo, an impressive display of human scientific achievement without revealing military capabilities. Admiral Rice slams her palm on the conference table, silencing the room. They invited us to show who we are. The Intrepid represents humanity's finest achievement, a perfect balance of diplomatic presence and defensive capability. The Intrepid is a warship, Alina, Admiral Yamamoto says quietly. It's a deterrent, Rice corrects. And it sends the right message. We come in peace, but we're not defenseless. After 3 days of deliberation, the vote narrowly favors Reyes's proposal. When Captain Chen transmits the specifications for the UNSC Intrepid to Alliance headquarters, the response is immediate. The Alliance diplomatic AI flags the transmission with correction needed. Dimensions exceed ceremonial parameters by 300%. Weapons capability exceeds observational species guidelines. 2 days later, the Alliance ambassador, a willowy being with translucent skin named Velforin, arrives personally to clarify the situation. His tentacles tremble slightly as he meets with the UNSC command. There appears to be a misunderstanding. He begins diplomatically. The fleet review traditionally showcases scientific or exploratory vessels. The specifications you've provided suggest something else entirely. Admiral Rice steps forward. The Intrepid is our flagship, Ambassador. It represents standard human defensive capability while maintaining appropriate diplomatic facilities. Would you prefer we bring something larger? Velforin's skin flushes deep purple as he struggles to maintain composure. Larger? The Prometheus-class carriers are more impressive, certainly. Rice continues, deliberately misunderstanding his concern. But they're primarily designed for atmospheric fighter deployment, which seemed inappropriate for a space-based ceremony. The ambassador's translator falls silent as he processes this information. Finally, he responds with careful neutrality. The Intrepid will be acceptable. I will inform the fleet admiral of your unique participation. After Velforin departs, Captain Chen turns to Reyes. You enjoyed that, didn't you? Reyes allows herself a small smile. Just establishing expectations, Captain. Better they understand us now than be surprised later. As the Intrepid begins preparations for its interstellar journey, Alliance analysts work frantically to recalibrate their assessment of human technological capabilities and what those capabilities suggest about humanity's history among the stars. The Intrepid tears through space at the edge of the ceremonial gathering, its massive silhouette eclipsing nearby stars. The jump drive powers down with a cascade of blue energy that ripples across the hull, marking the human warship's arrival with unmistakable presence. In the central viewing chamber of the Alliance flagship Eternal Harmony, Fleet Admiral Zell Corvin drops his ceremonial drink. By the 7 moons, he whispers as the liquid pools unnoticed at his feet. What have they brought? Around him, representatives from 17 species fall silent, their celebratory chatter dying as the main display shows the human vessel in all its imposing glory. Where Alliance vessels feature sleek, artistic lines, and crystalline components, the Intrepid presents a stark contrast. Angular, armored, and undeniably built for war. Position achieved. Awaiting docking instructions, Admiral Rise announces calmly through the communication channel, seemingly unaware of the shock rippling through the Alliance fleet. Sleek, artistic vessels, designed to showcase their creators' cultural aesthetics, scatter like startled fish, breaking the carefully choreographed formation as captains instinctively create distance between themselves and the human behemoth. That cannot be an observational species vessel, protests the Tellarite ambassador, his quills standing rigid with alarm. It's nearly the size of our defensive command ship. Fleet Admiral Zell Corvin composes himself quickly. Transmit docking coordinates, he orders his communications officer, and arrange an immediate inspection team. 2 hours later, the formal welcome proceeds with forced normalcy. Admiral Rise leads Alliance officials through the Intrepid's diplomatic sections, conference rooms, cultural exhibits, and carefully selected scientific laboratories that showcase human achievement while revealing little of tactical significance. During the ceremonial tour, Alliance Admiral Trelnak stops at a sealed door near the aft section. This area wasn't on the provided schematics, he notes with a diplomat's practiced neutrality. Lieutenant Rodriguez, the young officer escorting this particular group, laughs casually. Just point defense clusters, sir. Nothing worth showing. Every human destroyer has them. Trelnax's translator struggles with the concept of just point defense as he realizes the door leads to weapons systems more powerful than his flagship's main armament. And how many of these clusters does the Intrepid carry? He asks, trying to maintain his composure. 12 primary and 18 secondary. Rodriguez answers without hesitation. Standard configuration for a vessel of this class. The carriers have more, of course, but as Admiral Reyes explained to your ambassador, those wouldn't be appropriate for this gathering. In the central command deck, Admiral Reyes watches Alliance engineers examine the navigation systems with barely concealed fascination. Your propulsion technology is fascinating, says Chief Engineer Velmox, her six-fingered hands hovering over the holographic display. But these armored bulkheads, they must add considerable mass. Compartmentalization is essential, Reyes explains. If one section is breached, we don't lose the entire ship. Breached. Velmox repeats, her luminescent eyes blinking in confusion. But space combat is exceedingly rare in modern times. Reyes offers a diplomatic smile. We believe in preparing for unlikely scenarios. As the tour concludes, Alliance officials gather in their secure conference room, comparing notes with growing concern. The human vessel isn't just larger than expected. It represents an entirely different philosophy of interstellar travel, one built on the assumption of conflict rather than peace. What exactly? Fleet Admiral Zell Corvin asks his senior staff. Have we invited to our celebration? Senior Alliance scientists work through 3 sleep cycles analyzing the Intrepid's sensor profile. The research laboratory aboard the Alliance flagship Eternal Harmony buzzes with activity despite the late hour, holographic displays showing cross-sections of the human vessel from every angle. Impossible, mutters Chief Researcher Velmaz, comparing readings taken during the Intrepid's arrival. Her slender fingers trace the layered defensive systems that surround the human ship's core. They've layered armor over energy shielding over more armor. The material composition alone should make the vessel too heavy for efficient travel. Her colleague, propulsion specialist Xilvor, puzzles over engine schematics compiled from external scans. They're faster than light drive is. Crude but ingenious. It creates localized tiers in space-time, rather than utilizing quantum folding. It shouldn't work as efficiently as it does, yet their acceleration metrics exceed our standard drives by 17%. More concerning is the power distribution network, adds weapons analyst Jorthal, his scaled skin reflecting the blue light of his display. They can redirect energy between systems instantly, from shields to weapons, from life support to engines. It's designed for rapid adaptation during combat situations. The word hangs in the air. Combat. The Alliance hasn't faced serious interstellar conflict in over 3 centuries. Their vessels are built for exploration, scientific research, and prestigious display. Defensive capabilities exist as a secondary consideration, not a primary design principle. Most baffling to the Alliance researchers is the discovery of manual control systems throughout the human ship. When questioned during a follow-up inspection, Engineering Officer Park demonstrates closing massive blast doors without computer assistance, using the simple hand crank embedded in the wall. If systems fail, we still fight, he explains matter-of-factly when Velmaz expresses surprise. Every critical function has manual backup. It's standard protocol. But surely your computer systems don't fail regularly, she asks, calculating the statistical improbability. Park gives her a peculiar look. They don't have to fail regularly to justify preparation, ma'am. They only have to fail once at the wrong time. In the Alliance War College's secure briefing room, Dean Zelverex observes the gathered data with growing unease. Holographic representations of 23 previous first contact species float beside the human vessel's schematics, emphasizing its anomalous nature. They build assuming catastrophic damage, he explains to the gathered military leadership. Their vessels are designed to continue functioning while partially destroyed. Note these bulkheads, they can seal off sections independently. Their life support systems are distributed rather than centralized. Even their bridge has a secondary command center located deep within the vessel's core. Admiral Trelnax leans forward, his ceremonial insignia catching the light. Assessment. They've fought before, Zelverex states simply. Not theoretical combat scenarios like our training exercises. Actual, devastating space warfare that informed every aspect of their design philosophy. These redundancies, these armor configurations, they're born from blood and loss. That night, Alliance military leaders hold an emergency session, their discussion focused entirely on humanity's unexpected capabilities. Strategic simulations run on massive quantum computers, modeling scenarios involving human vessels against known threats. The question haunting every mind remains unspoken until Junior Officer Pelvix finally gives it voice. What enemy made humans design ships this way? And are they still out there, beyond known space? The silence that follows feels heavier than the Intrepid's armored hull. During a diplomatic reception aboard the Alliance flagship Eternal Harmony, the grand observation deck sparkles with crystalline decorations and floating light sculptures. Representatives from 17 species mingle beneath a transparent ceiling that showcases the assembled fleet, their vessels arranged in an artistic formation that has taken weeks to choreograph. Admiral Reyes, dressed in formal UNSC blues, converses with a Meridian ambassador about Earth's diverse ecosystems when the first alarm cuts through the elegant music. The lights shift from ambient gold to pulsing blue. Conversations falter as Alliance officers move swiftly toward command terminals embedded in the walls. What's happening? Reyes asks the Alliance lieutenant beside her, immediately alert. Before the officer can respond, a second, more urgent alarm sounds. The overhead lights turn crimson, and the massive view screen at the front of the observation deck activates automatically. Long-range sensors detect 37 warships approaching, announces a panicked Alliance officer from the command station. Configuration matches Freck's signatures. They've bypassed outer warning beacons. He turns to Fleet Admiral Zell Corvin, his voice dropping. Weapons signatures active. Sir. Full combat configuration. Murmurs of alarm spread through the gathering. The Vrecks, mysterious raiders who've tested Alliance borders for decades, never engaging in diplomatic contact, their origins unknown. The Alliance ceremonial fleet scrambles to organize. Their vessels beautiful, but lightly armed, their crews trained for precision formation flying rather than combat maneuvers. On the view screen, Reyes watches with professional interest as the Alliance command structure attempts to shift from celebratory mode to defensive posture. Their protocols seem excessive, their command chain convoluted. Primary defensive line establishing at coordinates Delta 9, reports the Alliance tactical officer, his voice higher than normal. Estimated time to Vrex intercept, 17 minutes. Admiral Reyes, sipping champagne moments earlier, transforms instantly. Her posture straightens, her eyes narrow, and she smoothly moves toward the command platform, where Fleet Admiral Zell Corvin is issuing orders. Permission to return to Intrepid and assist in defense coordination, she states rather than requests, already calculating optimal firing positions in her head. The Alliance Admiral hesitates, pride warring with practicality as he glances between his ceremonial fleet and the approaching enemy vessels. The Vrex have never launched an attack of this magnitude. Their previous encounters limited to isolated raids against outlying colonies and science stations. A devastating energy beam slices through the nearest Alliance cruiser, its crystalline hull shattering in a spectacular explosion that illuminates the observation deck. The timeline has accelerated. Permission granted, he says, as Rice is already halfway to the shuttle bay, barking orders into her communicator. All hands to battle stations. Bring all defensive systems online. Power to forward shields. Launch alert fighters. I'm inbound. ETA 4 minutes. As her shuttle races toward the Intrepid, Rice studies the approaching Vrex fleet through the tactical display. Their vessels move in perfect attack formation, sleek, predatory shapes with organic curves that distinguish them from the angular human warship and the artistic Alliance vessels. On the command deck of the Eternal Harmony, panic rises as Alliance vessels struggle to establish defensive positions. Their captains, many with no actual combat experience, hesitate to break the ceremonial formation that took so long to perfect. "We're receiving a transmission from the Intrepid," reports the communications officer, surprise evident in his voice. "They're moving to intercept." On the main view screen, the massive human warship breaks from its docking position, its engines flaring bright blue as it accelerates directly toward the oncoming Vrex fleet. The Intrepid's bridge hums with controlled intensity as Admiral Reyes strides from the turbolift. No panic, no raised voices, just the disciplined focus of a crew trained for precisely this scenario. Tactical displays illuminate the darkened command center, tracking both the approaching Vrex vessels and the scattered Alliance fleet. Status report, Rice demands, taking her position at the central command chair. All weapons systems online. Shields at maximum. Fighters prepped for launch, responds Commander Ortiz, her executive officer. The Alliance vessels are attempting to form a defensive perimeter, but their formation is disorganized. Lieutenant Kim at the tactical station looks up from her console. Analysis of Vrex attack pattern complete. Alliance vessels showing structural weaknesses at engine junctions. Their shield configurations leave significant vulnerabilities. Ray studies the tactical projection. Recommendation: "We position to draw fire from those sectors," Kim replies without hesitation. The Intrepid's hull can withstand the assault. Alliance vessels cannot. Reyes nods, making her decision instantly. Helm, intercept course. Maximum tactical speed. Weapons, target the lead Vrex vessels, disabling shots only until we confirm hostile intent beyond doubt. "Aye, Admiral," responds the bridge crew in unison. The massive human warship accelerates smoothly, its movement purposeful and direct compared to the chaotic scattering of Alliance vessels. On the Alliance flagship, Admiral Trelnax watches in astonishment. "What are they doing?" he demands. "They're placing themselves directly in the enemy's path." The first Vrex barrage strikes Intrepid's forward shields, the impact rippling visibly across the energy barrier. The bridge crew remains steady, status reports flowing in measured tones. "Shields at 62%, reports the tactical officer without emotion. "No hull breach, no systems compromised." "Returning fire," announces the weapons officer. The Intrepid's response is devastating. Precision beam weapons slicing through the lead Vrex ship's propulsion system, while point defense turrets intercept incoming missiles. Unlike Alliance vessels with their elegant but exposed weapon arrays, the human ship's armaments emerge from previously hidden compartments within the armored hull, surprising even the Alliance observers who thought they had analyzed the vessel thoroughly. When a coordinated Vrex attack manages to overload a section of the Intrepid's shields, a lucky shot disables the primary targeting array on the port side, rather than retreating to assess damage. As Alliance protocol would demand, repair drones swarm out like metallic insects, immediately beginning reconstruction even as secondary targeting systems seamlessly take over. Remarkable, whispers the Alliance chief engineer, watching the battle through the flagship's sensors. Their redundant systems are activating without noticeable interruption in combat effectiveness. Admiral Trelnax leans forward in his command chair, observing the human vessel with new understanding. The Intrepid absorbs punishment that would have destroyed any Alliance ship, its layered defenses proving their worth in actual combat. More importantly, its tactical positioning is deliberately drawing Vrex fire away from the vulnerable Alliance vessels. They're protecting us, he realizes aloud, using themselves as a shield. The Vrex fleet, clearly surprised by the unexpected resistance, attempts to adjust their formation to focus fire on the human vessel. 3 Vrex ships break from the main group, accelerating toward the Alliance flagship, only to encounter a wall of interceptor fire from the Intrepid's secondary batteries. They're not just building warships, Trelnax concludes as he watches the human vessel methodically dismantle the enemy's coordinated attack. They're building vessels that thrive in war, and crews that execute combat operations like a precisely choreographed dance. For the first time in generations, the Admiral feels something he's only read about in historical texts: the cold certainty that without this unexpected ally, the Alliance fleet would be facing annihilation. Alliance vessels, this is Admiral Reyes of the UNSC Intrepid. Her calm voice cuts through the chaos on Alliance communication channels. Form up on these coordinates. Data packets containing precise tactical positioning flow to each Alliance ship. The formation she proposes contradicts centuries of Alliance naval doctrine, not the defensive sphere their captains attempted to create, but a spear-like offensive formation behind the Intrepid. On the Alliance flagship, tactical officers stare at the suggested deployment with confusion. "This can't be right," mutters the senior strategist. "She's positioning us for an attack run, not a defensive stand." Admiral Trelnax studies the human strategy, recognition dawning in his eyes. "Implement immediately," he orders, overriding his advisor's objections. All vessels conform to human tactical guidance. Desperate captains comply, finding themselves arranged in a formation unlike anything taught at the Alliance Naval Academy. The Intrepid takes point position, its massive bulk leading the improvised battle group. "On my mark, execute maximum acceleration, and maintain these firing solutions," Reyes broadcasts, her voice betraying no doubt that her orders will be followed. "Target enemy propulsion and weapons systems only. Conserve energy for sustained engagement." The coordinated formation surges forward on her command, not a retreat or defensive posture, but an aggressive thrust directly into the center of the Vrex fleet. The enemy, expecting the typical Alliance evasive response, finds themselves suddenly confronted by a coordinated attack. The Intrepid's forward batteries open fire simultaneously, creating precise gaps in the Vrex formation. Alliance vessels exploit opening in Sector 4, Reyes directs. Focus fire on designated targets. The human-led formation drives deeper into the Vrex fleet's center, the Intrepid's hull absorbing punishment meant for the lighter Alliance vessels, its weapons creating opportunities that Alliance ships exploit with surprising effectiveness. When a Vrex boarding party manages to breach the Intrepid's outer hull through a damaged section, they encounter another shock. Human Marines in powered combat armor, waiting in prepared defensive positions. "We've trained for this our entire careers," Lieutenant Commander Jackson tells the stunned Alliance security liaison, as her squad systematically eliminates the boarders. Repelling boarders is basic training for all crew members. In the void of space, the Vrex formation crumbles under the coordinated assault, their anticipated easy victory transforming into a desperate fight for survival. 5 enemy vessels attempt to withdraw, only to find their escape route cut off by a wing of Alliance ships, perfectly positioned according to Reyes's tactical plan. On the Intrepid's bridge, damage reports flow in as the battle intensifies. 3 decks exposed to vacuum. Primary power conduits severed in 2 sections. Starboard weapons arrays operating at 60% capacity. Reroute power from secondary systems. Reyes orders without hesitation. Seal off compromised sections. Deploy emergency repair teams with priority to weapons and propulsion. Through the flagship's view screen, Admiral Trellmax watches in astonishment. The human vessel continues fighting at nearly full capacity despite damage that would have rendered any Alliance ship combat ineffective. More remarkably, the captain hasn't once considered retreat or mentioned surrender, concepts that would have been primary considerations in Alliance tactical planning. They're not fighting to survive, he realizes, studying Reyes's unwavering offensive strategy. They're fighting to win, completely and definitively. As a coordinated volley from the human-led formation cripples the Vrex command ship, the remaining enemy vessels begin a chaotic, disorganized retreat. The Alliance has faced the Vrex many times over decades, but never before have they routed the mysterious raiders so thoroughly. And never before, Trellmax acknowledges silently, has the Alliance fought alongside warriors like the humans. The battle debris drifts against the starfield as damage assessment teams move between vessels. The Intrepid, scorched and missing sections of its outer hull, maintains position at the fleet's center, still combat-ready despite its wounds. Emergency repair teams in vacuum suits crawl across its exterior like luminescent insects, welding plates, and reconnecting severed conduits. In the Alliance flagship's grand chamber, Admiral Reyes stands before the assembled diplomatic corps, her formal uniform torn and smudged with soot from personally assisting with fire suppression on Deck 7. Medical nanogle seals a cut above her right eye, the only acknowledgement of injury she permits herself. The Intrepid performed as expected under combat conditions. She reports formally, hands clasped behind her back. 11 enemy vessels neutralized, 7 disabled. We stand ready to assist with repairs and recovery operations for Alliance ships. The Alliance High Admiral approaches slowly, his ceremonial robes exchanged for a practical uniform. The chamber falls silent as he stops before the human officer, studying her with all 4 eyes. As expected, he asks quietly, "You lost 3 decks and a quarter of your weapon systems, yet continued fighting at near maximum efficiency." Reyes looks genuinely puzzled. "That's what our ships are designed to do, Admiral." She gestures toward the view screen showing the Intrepid. The outer hull served its purpose as sacrificial armor. Critical systems remained intact. Casualties were minimal. Understanding dawns across the gathered representatives. Their ships were built to prevent war through their beauty and technological advancement, to inspire awe and peaceful cooperation. Human ships were built to win wars despite taking devastating damage, with every aspect of their design focused on combat effectiveness and survival. The silence breaks as the Alliance War College Dean steps forward. "We would be honored if you would share your tactical insights with our officer corps, Admiral Reyes. Your approach to formation combat was unconventional by our standards, but undeniably effective." Of course, Reyes agrees with a diplomatic nod, although most of what we implemented were basic naval maneuvers taught at our academy. Nothing particularly innovative. The exchange of glances among Alliance officers speaks volumes. As Alliance engineers begin eagerly examining the Intrepid's battle-proven designs, the High Admiral pulls Reyes aside to a private viewing platform overlooking the fleet. The human warship dominates the view, repair teams swarming across its wounded hull. "I must ask what many of us are wondering," he says quietly. "What were you defending against to create vessels like this?" Admiral Reyes looks him directly in his 4 eyes. "Ourselves, initially," she answers truthfully. "Our history taught us harsh lessons about conflict and survival. We had nuclear weapons before we had spaceflight. We fought wars over resources, ideology, territory. She turns back to the viewport. Later, we faced other challenges. Resource asteroids diverted toward Earth. Colony uprisings. Piracy in the outer system. And now, the High Admiral asks, now we build ships like the Intrepid because we understand something fundamental about the universe, Reyes says softly. Peace is not the natural state of existence. Peace must be created and maintained, sometimes through diplomacy, sometimes through readiness. The High Admiral shivers despite the room's warmth. If these were the vessels humans built to fight other humans, he could scarcely imagine what they might create when truly threatened by an outside force. As if reading his thoughts, Reyes smiles slightly. The Vreks were fortunate today, she says casually. We only brought one ship.